that's the story they're going to tell to their kids
Mhm.
about how their dad was a fucking idiot and wasn't milking the moss right.
Yeah, was the moss weird?
The moss is great. I love it. I love that they have to milk the moss.
Hi, I'm Molly.
And I'm Sam, and this is the Knit Ritz podcast. This week we are casually discussing some notions of patriarchy that we find in romantasy novels and things that give us the ick, and kind of discussing how we can maybe push past some of those things while still maintaining a lot of the tropes and dynamics that we love within romantasy, fantasy genre.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do some reading and writing check-ins and talk about our little writing project that we've been working on and how much we are already obsessed with each other's writing.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, I guess we'll start with reading and writing check-ins. I've read like 2 chapters in Neverkeep.
Nice.
I just got spoilers for Neverkeep. You're like way farther, right?
32, I think.
I think I'm on 28. I'm right after her and Cade.
Nice.
Yeah.
I am here for some Cade action.
I am too, but I feel like it's not earned enough. Like I feel like they just met. But maybe it's because the split POVs, we don't have that much in her perspective, so it feels like there hasn't been that much time in the book for, even though it's been like 4 months. But it
does seem a little weird that he's like kind of in love with her already.
Yes. Well, I mean, I guess but it seemed like just like we didn't get enough like on page little
enemies aspect of it.
Yeah, it's just like okay.
Yeah, she kind of hates him just because she wants to be the best, as opposed to like a real reason to hate him. She's like, "You fucking saved my life. God, you're annoying."
Yeah, I was like, I don't really buy that, but it doesn't
like,
have
why
to
do
be
you?
enemies
Why do
to
you
lovers.
even? Why do you even like? Why? And I can see like a little bit of it when he first shows up, and she's like, why does the prince even think that I need this fucking help? Like,
that was more interesting.
Like that, like being insulted by his presence.
Yes.
And
but that kind of fell away.
It did kind of fall away.
But I wish it didn't, because I think what my guess is from where I'm at is that he's being set up right now. He's coming in and they're doing the love interest because they're going to have a third act breakup, because she's going to figure out that whoever he's been hired by to watch her, it's like a classic comedy, like, oh, I signed up to do this fucked up shit and then I fell for you. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. I hope it's not as simple as that, and I assume I do trust them enough to think it won't be, but
or right that he was like set up by the prince to seduce her to see if she would keep her promise. But
I was thinking like someone who wants to get one over on the prince, like hired him to follow her around type of thing, not like he's actually undermining the prince.
Got it.
But it could be either. Anyway,
but I'm here for some sexual treason.
Yes. Like the scene, like the actual, like, most of the book is interesting. It's just like that part I was like, I would put that later. But I'm also, we don't need to do slow burn all the time.
No, I was slightly a little bit annoyed by the like really hard dichotomy of the two characters, that like Vesper is amazing in all she does and can never fail. And even though she's in this kind of fucked up position in the world, everyone respects her and fears her. And then the complete antithesis of that being like, there's Ever and nobody respects her and she can't catch a break. And so like I was waiting for those dynamics to kind of become a little murkier.
I think they probably still will.
Yeah, and
this would be like a book 2 arc thing.
And they are getting murkier already, so that's helpful. Like there's things that like Ever is working out and she's getting kind of a leg up in certain places, and then there's also areas where like Vesper's finding some roadblocks. So I find it interesting. uh Halrin, is that his name?
Harlan? I haven't seen him
Harlan.
since the beginning, but I assume I'm gonna
You
maybe.
saw the kiss, right?
Yeah, but that's in the wait. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
part of
that's
it.
the last I've
Okay,
seen
or
of
it's
Harlan
fine.
up to chapter 28 for sure. Um yeah, the Reapers are sus. The Reapers
Yes.
are sus as
Yeah.
fuck. And this prophecy is sus.
What prophecy are you talking about? Did we just
Girl,
learn about it?
no,
Like, is
it's
that
in
the
there
one I
like
just?
three different times.
I think I've been reading this book since like April 15th, so I think I've just forgotten maybe. But okay, I'll have to
It
look
comes
at it.
up again in the probably the 28 to 35. I'm actually on chapter 35.
Okay,
Um
okay.
pages, and you see the prophecy again, and then you see it again somewhere else, and it's slightly different. And so they start being like,
Interesting.
why is it written differently here? Um
Hmm. Okay.
and I don't know why.
Oh, maybe all the four lands have changed the last word to honor their own tribe, and that's why it's fucked up and can't be
Well, and
solved.
also the way that Ever interprets it, I think that it's very biased, where she's like, this shows that the water people are going to win. And I'm like, that one line indicates that, but also the last line says that maybe it's air, because it says like,
Yeah, well, that it kind of just feels like that's what people do.
yeah,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But I think it's about both of them together.
Mm.
I,
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
think.
have to look at it and then when it comes up the next time.
Hmm.
I do
Yeah,
remember that one line about like the sky thing, like as you
yeah.
were talking, but that's I don't remember the rest of it. But
I have a feeling, and I think that you're going to hate it if this happens. Like, absolutely hate if this happens. I think that the long con of this is going to be Ever and Kaiser together.
what do you mean long con?
Like, I think that that's where we're going, is that we're gonna get like a
Oh,
an
I
amazing,
assumed that.
even with Sweet Baby Harlan in the mix.
Oh yeah. He's totally set up to die tragically.
Yeah,
What do you have any of us or to
or
be
he's
evil?
yeah, he is set up to be completely corrupted
He
by the
starts
Reapers.
good, which means he's gonna end tragically, either by being evil or by dying. That's what
Hmm.
I think. Um,
And then
but like
she's
she
going.
described Kaiser like what as her mom was dying, she's like in his dark hair and his blood. I was like, okay, we got it. He's the love interest, but can you fucking not?
Have you seen the party scene yet?
Yes, where she
Okay.
like she does something. Yeah.
Uh-huh. She tries to be all cute with Kaiser for a minute to stab him, and he's like,
Ugh.
and he like kisses her, and he's like, "You think I didn't know it was you, you crazy bitch?"
Also, I hate the cussing in theirs. It's not. They don't do it well. None of their language stuff is good. They cannot write a fucking like.
By the waves.
Did they say that? Oh, I
There's
don't
something
remember
that's
that.
like by the way, like they say
Nothing is
something like,
okay. Very few things are worse than
"For the love
trees.
of the tide." Nothing's as bad as trees.
But
That's
no,
gonna be our thing. We're just be like, trees.
it's so stupid. Oh, but no, when she says like cascade or whatever, that just means shit, and they translate it
And then
each
they translate.
time.
You
Like
know
I'm like,
why? You know
it's
why I think they do that?
because that's
Because
what you do in like regular books when someone's speaking a different language.
okay, so I've read Ruthless Boys, Zodiac, and the Dark, More Penetrant Tree
Oh, I
ones,
bet
right?
they are so annoying with the Italian shit.
Okay. In the in Ruthless Boys, there's so much Fatalian, and they don't translate it. So I'm having to
That's
Google
better.
Translate. No, so I'm
No, you
having
can
to.
just get the vibe from context
Yeah,
clues.
yes, and you can, but sometimes you want to know because you're like, oh, this is some sneaky fucking shit that's being put in here, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And like sometimes she's like, what does that mean, Dante? And he's like, it means that you're hot, or whatever it is, right? And so like he tells her, blah blah blah. But you don't really know unless you like Google it or you just like take it at face value. Then I think that they got this critique that like, can you put it in there? Because in Darkmoor Penitentiary, it's like this, where it'll be a whole ass sentence in Fatalian, and then in italics, it'll be the translation of it.
I mean, that is better, I will say. It's when it's like the same cuss words that she's used 50 times.
Yeah, I don't need to know
We
that it's
get
shit and
it.
fuck.
We
We
know
get it.
what it
Yeah.
means shit. And like
Yeah.
we understand it. Even if you've never told us, we could get that it meant something like that. And
Yeah.
also, I think they're her
Especially because there's also times that she says it, and then Kaiser's like, "I'm an asshole, huh?" You're like, and she's like, "You speak my language?" She's like, "I speak all the language," like whatever. And so it's
yeah.
like, you don't need to translate that you called him an asshole if he's going to acknowledge that he knows that you called him an asshole.
Yeah. Well, and also like I think that the actual words that they choose, they all like even her water language it gives hey chicas like it somehow just doesn't sound normal. It sounds like somebody trying to make up a language who's like in 7th grade. It sounds like a 7th grader trying to make up a
It
language.
comes off as hey chicas.
Yes, it gives you such an ick.
It's
It's not a patriarchal ick, but an
it
ick.
is so. I love that Hey Chicas has taken the place for us in the cringiest use of a foreign language from its predecessor, the "Where you been, Loca?"
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
those two. Every time I'm like, oh,
Uh,
I'm like, yep. Like those are like Jacob, and then because it's so bad, every time I read Diego stuff, I'm just like, it's not Jacob Black. It's not Jacob Black.
yes, yeah, yeah. I never watched Twilight enough to like remember that shit, but I know what you're talking about now. I probably I've seen like more
It's in the
memes about
book
it.
too.
Yeah, I read those books once. I watched the movies once. Never thought about them again.
I've gotten a little further in Neverkeep than you have.
Yes.
But I have had and currently whatever. We're going through some household transitions. I had
Yeah.
my mom was up visiting,
You can't keep
mother-in-law
up
is
your pace forever
here.
either.
Yeah, yeah, I can't. Yeah, and like not to lie, but like when your mother-in-law is cleaning your kitchen, you can't just like sit
No.
for 4 hours and read.
No, you
Um,
can't.
so yeah, so little transition time, a little less reading time, but that's fine. It whatever, it is what it is. Um and then Topher and I have been reading The Third Crescent City together, and
Yeah. How
oh
far are
my
you?
god, it's so we're having so much fun with this. This is crazy. I'm gonna look where we're
Yeah.
at. I think we are on so we're on chapter 31 of House of Flame and Shadow. And so Sigrid Finder is dead. Ethan is doing weird shit. He just got to the Underking, into the House of Flame and Shadow place, and
Yeah.
he's about to talk to Jessica. We are done for a bit with Nesta stuff. We've already seen Celine's hologram.
About the dump.
We all met Vesper and the
That
Asterius.
show's so good in my brain. Vesper is who?
Oh, sorry, Vesperus.
Okay.
She's named after the same thing. She's named after the
Okay.
same star. And so yeah, we've already met the Asteri that's been in a crystal coffin underneath the mount, underneath the prison. We've been told
Yeah.
that there's all sorts of fucked up shit,
Um
right?
and then we just wrote our things, right?
Yeah, yeah. We just wrote our weekly chapters to each
Dude,
other.
how long was your chapter? Mine was 3,500 words.
Yeah,
I
mine
was
was
shook.
like 32.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, mine actually that was probably closer to what mine is, just like 32.
yeah. It was something
Um
like that.
yeah,
I think I still have it highlighted. I do. It is where to count. It says 3,000.
okay.
Just under
But
3,000.
my first chapter was like 1,000, so I was like, I
Yeah.
gotta write more. I did stop originally after like the the girl in the mines.
Hmm.
That was the original stopping point, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna add more, and then I added the other part. But you want to talk about yours first?
Yeah. One, I think that I am going to take your advice and make her sons a little bit older,
Yes,
because
because it's too sad otherwise.
and because I had a, a literary vision, a book writing vision of a scene, and I was like, he can't be 10.
Okay.
For what I need to happen, it makes more sense if he's like
16.
12. So they've been together for 15 years. So I'm thinking they're like 10 and 12. 12 would be like young, fucked. Like I need it to be fucked up because he's too young for this, but not so young that he's not going to be cognitively aware of what's happening to him.
I mean, like 13 or 14?
Yeah. 12. He's bar mitzvah age. He's a
Okay.
Jewish adult, so he's fine.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, like 13. I think I'm going to make them like 11 and 13 or
Yeah.
whatever. And
So
so
I would be concerned if like he's gonna like go into the other realm after mommy type beat. I would be like 11, 12. I'm like, oh. But 13, I'm like, yeah, you could go to the fucking, you're walking to the grocery
yeah.
store by yourself with your
I
friends.
want it to be that like cusp age where you're like, if this had just happened even 2 years, even a year later, it would have
Yes.
been at least a little less like, ugh.
Yeah.
But at 12, you're like, oh, that's a rough age to for this thing to happen. And I kind of want to tell you what I want to do.
Okay. Yeah.
So because they're the Corvin and his little gaggle, his little murder of ravens, right?
Yeah.
Little gaggle of Grims are reapers. When you become a reaper, there's physiological morphs that happen. There's something that you get when you become a reaper that you don't necessarily have when you're not a reaper. And it's like the marking of a reaper. Basically,
He's gonna get one
I
in
think
the mortal realm.
no, he's going to be in the Fey realm, and I think there's going to be a moment where like his dad is being attacked or something, and he's like supposed to be
Powers show themselves.
and he's supposed to be hiding, and he's like fuck that. And what happens is that he runs out of his hiding place and he grabs one of the magical weapons and he annihilates, right, one of the souls, one of the zombie guys. And because he has killed with a reaper's weapon, he becomes a reaper.
And he's allowed to touch it because he has mommy's blood.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. So and then is he the next reaper because there can only be one at a time, or is he
No,
just
no,
like
no.
the
There's a
up-and-coming?
bunch of reapers. There's only one
Okay.
ferryman.
Oh, right. Okay,
But that
gotcha.
also means that the oldest born boy can never be the ferryman because it's going to be the oldest son.
So younger son is going to be the ferryman.
The younger son will be like the implication is the younger son would inherit the ferryman's duties and not the older son. The older son is a reaper.
What about future kids with Corb?
That's why the implication is that.
Yeah, because I was like, she could just have more kids. She's like fucking young in her 200s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
But
Okay.
basically, he is going to like sprout wings or some shit.
Yeah.
And like
Do
full
all the
on.
reapers have wings?
I think so. I think they're all going to have like black angel like wings.
Okay.
Gotcha. And then I originally thought of doing like a sword and daggers and like a bow and arrow, like
separate weapons for each of them.
Yeah. But then I was looking up imagery of reapers. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, we need the sickle thing that they use.
A scythe.
Thank you. I was like, so we need a
because they're
scythe.
reaping the souls.
Yeah, and so I don't think that Corvin is gonna have the sword, but one of the other reapers is gonna have the scythe, and another reaper I think is gonna have, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like kind of like a mace. And so these are like big, chunky, heavy, scary.
A morning star.
Yeah, something like that.
I thought you didn't like the scythe imagery, and that's why you didn't want to do that.
I didn't
You
like
said,
this.
oh, he's not going to look like a Grim Reaper type,
Well, I didn't like
right?
the skull, like the emaciated skull,
Oh, okay, okay.
like
I thought
the
you were actually avoiding the scythe weapon,
yeah, I
which is
didn't like the like image of just like death as being a skeleton.
got it.
And I
Cool.
kind of like it as being like instead of I mean, yes, it
Hot
does
girl.
morph well that or but like it also like it yes, it morphs you in certain ways. You do get certain powers and certain characteristics and these weapons are kind of indicative of like the imagery of the Reapers, but like you don't become undead, I guess.
Yeah,
It's more of an occupation.
yeah. Because that's the only reason why they would look like that is because he's supposed to be like this eternal being that has never died.
Yeah,
Blah,
or
blah.
like and it's more of an occupation and not like a race of people, right? Because Reapers oftentimes are like a group of like, you know, I don't know. They sometimes come off as like their own kind
Like a
of
race.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just like kind of
And I
magic
think
tells you.
that because I like I like rules of 3, but I'm trying to push past rules of 3. And especially in the context of like this world wants balance, I'm thinking that his little group of Reaper buddies, I think it's going to be made up of another man and 2 women. And so we're going to see female Reapers and we're going to see like hopefully slightly more egalitarian, which leads us into our conversation today, egalitarian like working group where there's
Yeah.
2 men and 2 women and there's some balance between and their roles don't necessarily shift based on like their roles are what are as a Reaper. It's not tied to their gender, but
And no foursome or swingers
no.
connotations.
But I do think so. There is going to be like I think that there's going to be a couple of moments where like Josephine has that like where Feyre asks Reese about Amryn kind of moments where she's like, "Y'all are real close. Like, are you guys a thing?" And he's like, no." Like she's a Reaper. But like we operate as like a family almost. Like that's no, ew, no, thank you. But I do need to build in a little bit of like unsolicited, illogical jealousy for Josephine
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense to her as to why she's like, ugh, my stomach hurts every time they're together. Why? And you're like, oh, because you're jealous, bitch. But you don't understand that because you're married and you don't realize that this is your mate. But these are like physiological responses that she's having because of this mate bond. And then also kind of kicks herself in the face for it because she's like, why am I reacting like this? I don't give a shit who he fucks. I'm trying to get away from this guy or whatever, So, but yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And let's see. Sorry, Holland. Okay. Yeah, dude. I found it so hard this week to describe the fucking rooms. Did you? I was just like,
I
oh
found it
god, I
so
hate
hard
it.
not to
Yours was
say
good.
it looks like this and like that and it was this and there was that.
Yes.
And at some point I was just like, fuck it, just write it. It is what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
you have more description than I feel like I did. I was just
because
like,
I feel like I never write enough description, and so I was
so
like,
you were trying to do that.
well, and like it kind of lends itself in this chapter. She's waking up in a new place, and she's
True.
like, she's incentivized to look and listen and smell and take in her surroundings because she's like, where am I? What like how am I like, what am I gonna do or whatever? It's not just pages and pages of fucking exposition because the reader needs to know where they're at. Like there's a purpose for her to be like, okay, well, the doors are locked and okay, so now I'm gonna like, and I've seen all I can, so maybe I'll just stop for a second and like listen and try to smell and see if there, and also kind of speaks to like maybe there's a little bit more to this girl because like what human is like, I'm gonna smell the room and see what clues that gives me,
Yeah, that's funny. I like their banter too.
Yeah,
they're cute. That's probably like, yeah, that's a strong point. And
I love that she's so annoyed by him already.
Yes.
She's like, why do you keep calling it the mortal realm? Why are you such a fucking twat? Like, she's so, like, I didn't want to be a dick about it, but, like, at some point where she, like, calls him, like, a Comic-Con cosplay incel.
Yes!
She's like, "What? Like, who did I just get kidnapped by?" Like, okay, like now I
I
need
think
to
you're
not
gonna do more of that in the revision. Like when you come back to this, I think
yeah.
they'll add more.
Mhm.
um,
She's like, "That's it. He's delusional. Like, it's official. He's lost his fucking mind, and I've been kidnapped by a psycho, and I'm gonna have to play Ren Fair for this guy to survive." She's
yeah.
like, "I'm gonna be killed by this crazy guy who's ranting about fucking fairylands." Awesome. Love that for me.
I think she also had a strong like part like her like voice was strong as well.
Mhm.
Like she felt like a character as opposed to
Oh,
like
thanks. Yeah.
that was another thing I was thinking about a lot this week because I was like he's just like a he's just like me. I don't know. I was just like annoyed by
Mhm.
it with my own, but yeah, I like
I
it.
loved yours.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I do have specific questions. Did you have specific questions you wanted like my opinion on? Because I have a bunch for you. Not a bunch, but
I
some.
don't think so. I mean, was the dialogue okay for mine?
Yeah, I think your dialogue was I don't want to say stronger than usual, but like there's like little like I said, there's always like little tiny things. They're just like the actual like what it is good.
Yeah. And,
Um
like, I didn't want them to be so translucent with each other where it was just like, "I'm gonna tell you everything," and, even when she's like, "What it," when she's like, "He's my husband, asshole," and then she's like, "Well, shit, I probably shouldn't give him more information about myself, but I kinda couldn't help it because he's talking shit about my man," like, or whatever, and, like,
mhm,
I like the little bit of the, like, how much do I give? How much does my, like, kind of temper get, like, let my mouth run away from me? And like when
yeah.
she's kind of like kicking herself like mentally kicking herself because it's like, being like, God, that was a stupid thing to do. Um,
Mhm,
but and like, oh, there's a little bit of like thinking about, okay, well, like, should I be appeasing? Should I push back? Should
mhm,
I like, should I attack this guy? Should I, and like, because she hasn't really felt out anything. And so I kind of wanted some of that to be in there. Cause I feel like if you're taken, you're like, okay, so like, is this a kind of person that like I could get away with like overpowering, or is this someone who I'm gonna have to like play nice with so that
and
he
like right,
loosens
yeah.
up the reins and I can run away kind of a thing,
Yeah.
which also leads into some patriarchal values about women being appeasing. But
Mhm.
um this I think has a certain, and I love that he's like already like they're already like arguing over semantics where she's like, "You kidnapped me," and he's like, "I didn't kidnap you, I
Procured
procured
you.
you," and she's
Yeah.
like, "Same shit," and then like and then uses it snarkily almost like, eh,
Procured me.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, see, I understood the vibes of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's what I meant by their banter is, like, nice.
And
Yeah, it's great.
I have some foreshadowing in here,
Mhm.
some little clues for things that might be happening.
Yeah,
Um,
like her power and stuff.
yeah, and like the land calling to her and her kind of feeling this, like whatever, and being like, "Okay, stupid brain, like, don't feel warm and fuzzy because it's a nice room, you idiot." Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because it's decorated the way that you would like doesn't mean that it's a safe zone. Um, yeah,
Yeah, dude, yeah. Dude, we wrote so much, it's
we
awesome.
did. We did.
I never write that much in one sitting, or it wasn't one sitting, but it was
Yeah, this
I
was
never
two
write this
sittings.
much.
I had a nap in between.
Yeah, I think mine was 2 or 3 sittings.
Mhm.
But there's something about writing, like, a full chapter that I like a
Mhm.
lot.
I get so OCD about it, like, I cannot walk away until the chapter is done. Um,
Yeah.
I only have questions about yours because I'm intrigued with the story.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, what questions do you
But
have?
I like your dialogue. Your dialogue works, and it just like, this is how, I know we say this all the time, but, like, this is how people talk.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it really is just, like, I could imagine this coming out of people's faces. There was a one part that I didn't quite understand where, so Forrest says, "You don't seem like a party guy," and then Draven says, "I'm not, I'm a businessman, and people are much more cooperative when you make them forget their miserable lives." And then the response is, "So super cool, fun guy, love it." And then he says, "One day that'll get you maimed or killed, Forrest." And is it because he's being like cute and snarky? Because then later on we get that conversation of like, well, if you stopped being cute with your bosses, you wouldn't be sent home early.
Oh, I didn't even realize that I had both of those. That's funny. Yeah, I guess so.
But it took me because I read that like twice, and I was like, "What's gonna get him maimed or killed? Like being a smart mouth?" Like I was just it was just a little like, and
Yeah,
it made sense later once Eli or Ellie,
Eli.
yeah, once Eli is like, "Okay, well if you would stop being a fucking smart mouth, then you would
Oh.
have, you know."
Did you read the word wit? Because it says one day that wit will get you killed, but maybe it blends in with the word will.
Yeah, I did not. I just
Okay,
and I read it like 2 or 3 times, so I just can't read. It's not you, it's me.
that's funny. I
And I
will
was
say
like,
I
what? I was like, one
also
day that will get you maimed or killed first. And I was like, what will get you killed? But now I see the word wit
the
clear
wit.
as day right in front of me on
Wit
my,
just felt like the thing Drayden would say. But
yeah,
I
I,
realized it's kind of a tongue twister, and you can skip it because
yeah.
it blends in. I will also say this dialogue in particular, I wrote it like all just the dialogue, and then I went back in like right after writing it
Hmm.
and added in the pacing, and that fucking killed me. I was like, I added this paragraph about like coming through the gates like before, and then I was like, no, it needs to be after because it's too much like. And like the describing the house between lines of dialogue, which is trying to like balance like,
Hmm.
okay, like I can't like talk about the entire house and then have a
Hmm.
reply to something that was like a page ago. So it needs to feel natural, but also it is natural to do some of that. That I I
I thought that,
struggled with.
yeah, the pacing is good though. I was on board for it. It didn't feel like too much conversation with not enough of like, well, they're still walking
Like,
or
where
what is
are they?
going, yeah,
Yeah,
what's happening. And it also wasn't so much like I feel like my details get a little clumped together in this chapter. But again, she's by herself, so like
yeah,
unless she's talking out loud to herself. But yeah, like it's tricky to like blend dialogue with the stuff that's going on and not have it feel like what. And sometimes there's
yeah.
even books that I'm reading that like
You're like,
there's
this is
too
awkward.
much description, and so you'll have like a dialogue tag and then like kind of a paragraph or even 2 paragraphs of this like exposition or description, and then there's a reply to what was last said. You're like, what is he
Which
replying to? And
I
you're like,
think you
oh
can do that well if you make it seem like the character like lost track of the conversation and was like off in
yeah.
their own head.
Hmm.
But you kind
But
of
if
have
it's
to do
just
that every time if you're gonna
yeah,
go
and if
that
it's
long.
just a direct reply, you're like, I've just read half a page and I don't even know what
Just
he's
to hear some
replying
guy go, "Yep."
to.
Yeah.
For someone to go, Ishka, shit.
Seriously. Seriously. Um, yeah, and I did not like how they do it in the beginning of Never Keep. I was pissed. I was annoyed. Um,
Your names are so good, by the way.
really? I
I
struggled with
love
that.
First off, if I were to have another child, which I am not, I'm not capable of. But if I were, dude, Draven would be on the list of fucking possibilities. That's a
Jaden?
sick ass name.
Oh,
Draven.
there's no one named
Drayden.
Draven.
Drayden.
Draden.
Sorry, Drayden. Yeah.
But you can
Either
name him
way.
Draven.
Either way, sick ass name. So here
That's
for it.
awesome. Okay.
And then Veston,
Too many
love
N's? Okay.
love it. I was
Okay.
like, because here's the thing, Veston sounds like it could be a villainous name, but he's not doing anything villainous yet. The name alone is like, who?
It's funny because I struggle with names so much. It's
I was
funny
like,
that
this guy is named Veston and he's got red hair. That's a sneaky ginger.
invested. That's funny.
And then like your main character is what, 13, 14, and his name's Forrest. He's like cute little sweet
He's
baby.
not 13 or 14. He's like 25.
Doesn't it say he's young?
No. No, people call him young because they're old. They're like 40. They're like 20, they're like 30, and they're just being like, you're a young kid.
Oh, that's so funny. I want to push back that people in their 40s don't do that, but I do, and I'm not
No, yeah,
even
you
in my
call a 23-year-old, you're like, you're a kid.
yes, yes.
Yes, that's what I mean.
In fact, the other day I called someone who was 27. I told her that she was fresh out of the incubator.
Yes, that's
I
what
said,
it
"Yeah,
feels like.
I said, you just got out of NICU, babe. Like,
Yes.
you have like zero life experience."
It's so funny.
Yeah,
Did I have someone call him young in this chapter, or was it the previous one?
I think it was this one.
I don't remember. Do you understand the magic stuff? Oh, okay. What did you think about the fucking girl?
My first thought, because it's me and I know this is not what this is, but I was like, oh, love interest.
No, I think that's like what it is, but I didn't want to write that. It just she appeared there.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes people just appear on the page.
Yeah. Yeah, because they kind of have like little flirty banter, even though I didn't mean to.
No, I love it.
My savior.
I also love that. What? Okay, that's okay. Hold on here. So the flirty banter is so good because she basically her way of flirting is calling him an imbecile,
Mm-hmm.
and his way of flirting is like, "God damn it, I smiled."
Yes.
Like she got me to fucking laugh. This bitch. Like it's like such good. Like they almost don't realize that there's this like meet cute moment happening,
Yeah.
but everyone who's reading and watching, you're like, oh, that's the story they're gonna tell to their kids
Mm-hmm.
about how their dad was a fucking idiot and wasn't milking the moss right.
Yeah, was the moss weird?
The moss is great. I love it. I love that they have to milk the moss. Also, the surge, so they have like a shit reaction to being healed.
Oh no, it's because he got healed late.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that's why it's like, oh, you almost died.
Yeah,
So when you
I was a
searched.
little yeah, okay. So it's vague enough to where I'm getting it, but
And I
it's
don't really want you to get it fully.
yeah, yeah, but it's still a little bit like, wait, is it because he felt like shit because he was getting sick, or is like healing makes you feel a little shitty? So I kind of like that there's still some questions about that though. Like I don't think it
Yeah.
needs to be flushed out in chapter 2.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And that is one thing that I always prioritize is like I'm not going to tell you everything, and it's gonna be fine
Mm-hmm.
because that's my number one annoyance
Oh,
with stuff.
okay. So he says, Forrest, what are you, 14? And I read that as like, that's
Oh
how old
yeah,
he
yeah,
is. Because I can't
yeah.
read, and I read it right before we came here. So there's that.
Yeah.
Actually, I started reading it, and there were too many people in my house for
I
me to
feel
be
that.
able to concentrate. So I
That's how
said,
it was with your first chapter. I was in a restaurant waiting for food, and
yeah,
the host lady kept trying to talk to me, and I was like, okay, okay, thank you. She's very nice
everything's
though.
great. Alone, thanks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
What do you think of Eli? I didn't love this banter, but Kill liked it.
I liked it. You know who he reminds me of? The in Throne of Glass when Aelin, Selena, whatever, is working in the kitchen.
The gay guy?
Yeah. That's who this
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he's cooking. Maybe it's because he's
Yeah.
old. Maybe because he has
He's
that,
not that
like,
old though. I think he's like 30.
okay, but he's got, like, reluctant guardian vibes.
Yes. Yeah. He's almost like too close in age to Forrest to really be a guardian, but he's
Yeah.
also lived in the buried city his whole life, and
Got
Forrest
it.
is new, and so
Got
he's
it.
just kind of
So
yeah,
he's
sort of took him
age.
under his
Yeah,
wing.
he's older by experience.
Yes, yeah.
Hmm.
Could you? I feel like you could not see the bakery though. Like I did not describe it at all, and I just was like,
Oh,
whatever.
I imagined it was similar to how the rest of the buildings are, where there's some, like, gray brick walls and lots of it's warm and maybe a little, like, there's a fireplace somewhere and ovens going, and it's smells like shitty mossy yeast, but good at the same time, and
Okay,
has like a reddish orangey hue in my head because of fires, and I don't know.
that is
Yeah.
cuter. I was picturing like gray and steel and white, but I like that better. Also, the square killed me to describe. I rewrote that like 4 times.
Mhm.
I hate describing stuff like that.
I
I didn't
love
care.
that you gave it a boring name and then addressed that it's a boring name.
Oh yeah.
That you're like, the square, surely there's other places like this that would be called something more exciting than the fucking square. Like I kind of love that, like, little, like, tongue-in-cheek meta shit,
Yeah,
because
you
I
can
could
hear his
see
voice.
people, readers being like, really, there's a square, but like that's what people do, right? Like
Yeah,
every high school, maybe at least the high
the
school I went
quad.
to, exactly. Or
That
why
just
do you
means
call it
square.
exactly, why does everybody call it the quad? Because it's a square space that people eat their fucking food, so it's the
Yeah.
quad.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so weird that that's fucking high school culture. Who? Yeah, I don't know. And considering that I grew up in literally bumfucked Egypt, like the fact that we also used that term is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Oh,
I guess yeah.
what about Raxting? Too abrasive.
No.
Okay, that's
Rack.
Drayden's last name. Also,
Oh
should
no,
his
I
last
mean
name be
I
Drayden, and I call him and make up a different first name?
no. Oh, that could work.
Like you'd be like George Drayden, not George, but I don't know.
Bradley. No. I mean it could be kind of funny if he has like a not tough guy first name, and that's why he goes by his last name because it's like
Willie
I don't know.
Drayden.
Yeah, or just like I mean it could be even something that like it's like Leslie Drayden. He's like I can't very well be a fucking crime boss with the name Leslie.
Leslie. Yeah. Yeah,
But
he
at the
did turn
same
into more of a crime boss, yeah.
mhm. But
What about
now
Lala and Bex?
Bex I like. Lala, I it took me a second to be like, hold on, how do I pronounce
Lala.
that? But
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like the right
I think
vibe.
I think because I haven't seen them on the page yet, really, and there's it's more referencing them. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll meet them later.
And you thought that the Eli discussion, like their little banter, I felt like it was boring, and I didn't put enough fucking descriptions. I like made myself put in stuff about like kneading the dough.
No, I think this works because
Okay,
like it
because you can't
doesn't
always
necessarily
have the descriptions, but I felt like it was a
and
lot
and
without
I think
descriptions.
that because that there's not a lot of descriptions, it actually speaks more to the familiarity between the characters that they're not noticing the world
Oh,
around
true.
them than when he's with Drayden and he's taking in everything because Drayden is it's a stranger and has a level of danger to him and he needs to be more aware, right? He can zone out when he's talking to Eli and just be there for the conversation with Eli because of the sort of like the comforts of this place. So I think it worked for it to not have a whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Kala. See, I can just come up with names when they're not my main characters. Like
Hmm.
it's nothing. It's crazy.
I was worried that mine because I have a tendency to put like um my descriptions after my dialogue tags. I have a habit of like doing that for every one of them and I was like, "Sam, just put the dialogue. Like you don't have there doesn't have to be a description after every single like I have the opposite problem of you almost.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
you could just say he said, or don't even say it at all. Just move on to the next person. People will be able to follow who's talking based on
totally.
grammar. Yeah, but based
And
on
just the vibes. Like you can just if it's a back and forth between two people, especially, it's easier.
yeah.
But I just also like also I think that fits because they're talking fast because they're more like it's the part where it's really like that is when like they're annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah.
Yeah, where he calls her a liar.
Liar.
Mine and mine, not yours.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just talking about mine, but yours. I don't think yours was even. You have a couple lines that are like that, and that didn't feel like you had too many dialogue tags. I
Mm-hmm.
will say it's my natural instinct to write no dialogue tags, no descriptions, nothing,
Yeah.
and then I'm just having to add them in sometimes because I can't
Yeah.
never do them. But I do think it's come better. But yeah.
There's a slip of a word in in one of these dialogues. Did you catch it?
Okay, hold on. I feel like I hold on. I feel like I did notice something. It's because he says, yeah, yeah, it's Corvin says that, and he says, oh yeah, you're in our my home,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, totally. Um,
Now this could be written off later because the other Reapers live there. But so is he talking about it's our home, it's the Reapers' home, or is it?
you know what I think you could do to make that a little bit because I think a romantasy reader is already gonna guess a little bit like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I think if you said you are in dash dash my home
Mm-hmm.
because then it looks like he didn't slip up so obviously, but you're like, why
Yeah.
is there a dash there? And it's because
Yeah.
he stopped because he said. But anyway, that's like a very small
Yeah.
thing. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I definitely, yeah, I like that. Yeah, your dialogue felt very natural.
It's not weird that he's asking her for help. This like that you're like
Um,
there
mm,
will be a reason for him. So Topher and I got into this whole conversation about female agency and that she can't be completely stuck with no options but to help. He goes, it's not compelling and it won't be believable and it's a boring story if she feels like she has to help because she just can't get away. He goes, so there has to be something that happens that makes her be like, okay, like I'll do this.
I was gonna
And
say you could definitely make him say like, "I need you to help me," and you're gonna, but
yeah,
not in like. I mean, he's also her mate, so he wouldn't be like, "Fuck you," but like, I can see him being a little more pushy, and that's part of the tension.
yeah.
Um,
So
and she can defy him.
he doesn't know that he doesn't know that she's married and he
Yes.
finds out now and so he presumably also doesn't know that she has children and so I think that part of the way that he's going to get her to be on board with it is when he says, right, this is spilling into the mortal realm as well, and she's going to be like, what do you mean it's spilling in? He's like, this is happening, blah blah blah, and that's I think when she's going to be like, so my boys are in danger, and he's going to be like, who? And like another kind of moment of like, fuck, okay, she's got a lot more going on back home than I thought, kind of a thing. And
Yeah.
that's the reason why she's like, okay, well, if this is also going to save my kids, then let's do this.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then it makes her a sympathetic character because I can't just have her be like, peace out, Girl Scout to my husband and kids because this hot guy asked me for help. You know?
Yeah. And when is that conversation happening? Like right, like the next chapter, or is it
Next
like a
chapter.
while? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I guess it would have to. She's gonna demand it.
Yeah, I think
Um.
there's gonna be like I think the way I'm gonna open it up because like this one ends with him revealing his wings to her, and she's like, well, I guess I can't fucking argue that I'm in a fucking magical place now, kind of a thing. And so I think he's like, go get dressed. We'll eat, like, go, like, shower or wash, meet me for lunch, and then we'll talk about what I need your help with. And I think that he's gonna like linger a little too long while she's like going to like bathe, and she's gonna be like, you gonna stay here and watch me? And like he's like, no. But that like weird where like he's a little overly familiar with her because right, and she's like, "Hey, creep, can you give me a minute?"
Yes. Although, will she want to take a shower? I feel like she'd be like, "No, you're gonna tell me right now. I'm not getting naked in your house." Like, and so maybe
Okay.
he could say, like, "Listen," like, or maybe he just drops in something like, "I can't get you back right now. No matter what, you have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Take a shower." Like, but I do
Yeah.
think because that's what would be like. No, I'm not gonna take a shower. I'm not settling in.
Yeah.
You're taking me back right
That
now.
could, yeah. Well, and that could work too. That maybe he like gives her like enough details to like hold her over, and then
Yes.
is like, you like it's been a long, and because also she doesn't know how long she's been gone for
Yeah, she thinks it's
because
like weeks.
her, well, yeah, she's like, my hand is healed. What the fuck? And I gotta pee real bad. um, but yeah, so I think that that might be some of the next questions that she asked, and she's like, okay, but like, how long have I been gone? And he's gonna be like, 12 hours, babe. Like, relax. And she's gonna be like, that's impossible. And he's like, again, magic. And like that's like because she needs more evidence that she's actually in a fucking fairy realm to like really be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna believe this.
Yeah.
Because she can't just be like, oh, you showed me a fun magic trick and I'm just gonna believe everything you say. And so like maybe he gives her enough information and then he's like, we'll walk the grounds, we'll talk, blah blah, whatever else. He's like, I'll
Mhm.
show you where we're at. Like I'll be honest with you about what I need to some extent. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Topher and I had an entire conversation about what this island should look like, how big it should be, how far away from the mainland it should be, how desolate it is, how dangerous it is, what there should be, what there shouldn't be. And he came up with a very interesting real life point of reference for me. And that found its way into this already.
For what the island should look like? What's your point of reference?
So he was telling, so Topher went to England when he was a kid and they visited St. Michael's Island. It's a castle on top of an island. This is not a castle. He's not, but it's a castle. It's an island. It's a castle on an island, and you can only get to it by foot at low tide, and at high tide you have to take a boat. Um,
Interesting.
and it's kind of cool. And one of the stories of this island is one of the legends of the island is Jack and the Beanstalk.
Oh.
So that there was um a giant who created the island, and he used that island as like a jumping off point to eat the villagers and their livestock around them. And that, someone was like, we got to kill this giant, and some dude named Jack said, I volunteer as tribute, and he slayed the giant. um
That's what happens in that story.
well, that's the English version of it.
Okay.
There's no beanstalk in this one, but it is Jack slaying a giant. And
Okay.
it's the Jack and the Beanstalk one, I believe, is a Grimm's retelling.
Oh,
Um, but this one predates Grimm's. If I mean, I could be fucking wrong, but that's what I got.
that's
And
interesting.
so the name of the giant from that story is the name of this island.
Ah, that's cool. I like that.
And that's going to be part of the lore of the island, is that, like, legend says that this island was created by a giant, but this giant in this story is came from the underworld itself,
Is
and
the fairy good?
created the island out of rock from the underworld itself. That's why it looks the way that it does.
Interesting. I thought that was because of the magical fuckery. So it always looks like that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
There's access to the underworld on this island.
So is this like her house that, or is it like they built this house no, it's like her family's home.
I haven't decided.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
don't think it's her family's home. I think that it was probably
It was built by the under.
well, I think that it's like a thin place almost, where it is a place that has a legend tied to it and has access to the underworld. And when she went missing, he was like, "Cool, step 1, find a gate." Like
Oh,
it
it's the gate. So it's
yeah.
not like where they lived together
n-
before.
no, but I think he also I think he has also built it with her in mind, and
Oh,
that
so he
he
maybe lives there now.
yes, and he considers it their home.
Got it.
But
Okay.
it's made out of the stuff of the island, right? It's like salt stained beech wood and this dark gray brick.
Yeah.
And so it's lots of natural resources. And he's like created this cute little like oasis almost in the midst of this like relatively desolate island, because his land, right? There's like a fence, there's like a gate around it or whatever. And there's they farm everything, right? Like all their food, there's these gardens there. It's a tiered garden, right? So like it has some fortification built in. He's got some small livestock, right? So like they can live off this piece of land even in the midst of seemingly uninhabitable space around it.
Okay. Cool. Interesting.
Mhm.
Dude. Yeah, I like
And that
that.
he uses that as a jumping off point to kill souls on the mainland.
Oh, okay. Yeah, duh. Duh. I forgot about that. I didn't forget about it, but I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah. Dude, that's cool. I'm excited. Do you like the deadline aspect of like we have to write a
Yes.
chapter? I
Yes.
think it helps me so much.
It helps me so much.
Yeah.
It's
Even though I
nice because I know that you are gracious if I am not on time, but I'm also like, no, this has to get done.
yeah,
I'm
if you
going
were
to
to go beyond a week, I'd shame you.
yeah, yeah,
Just
absolutely.
kidding. I wouldn't
As you
expect to be
should.
shamed. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
As we should. You're like, what the fuck? What's going on with Forrest? Is he just living in your head, not doing anything? Way to treat your
Yeah.
character.
I did write a little like later chapter. I don't think it'll be the next chapter, but I think Mine's Girl is gonna come back and say, actually I changed my mind. You owe me.
I love that we've been talking for an hour and we haven't even gotten to the context of this episode yet.
uh
No one's ever going to read our books because they're going to be like, these bitches talked so much about it. I already know what's happening.
no, there's probably parts I'll cut out. We went
Yeah.
on tangents and stuff.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Yeah, but okay, so yeah, so we're not talking about like every ick ever or like all of the
No.
patriarchy because that's like honestly you can't talk about that all at once. But I will say I have some ideas about my classic
Yeah.
things that annoy me that I'm like,
Well,
can we stop
I
doing this?
I do think that there is, and I think that both of us want to stray away from this kind of rhetoric, but there is online book talk rhetoric that is really sort of, these are just reimaginings, like reinforcements of patriarchal values. You have these, these male characters who are super old, falling for or being mated to very young girls, and
Mhm.
there's fucked up power dynamics, and all these things. And I think that there's a lot of that happens. And then you also have the other side of the lane that says, sure, you all want to say that smut is just, you know patriarchal porn for women, but it's like there's 20 pages of sex scenes, and there's 500 pages of
Yeah.
a female character being a badass and rising a bit against tyranny and revolting, and speaking up for the destitute, and trying to end slavery. And so, like, I think that both schools have valid thoughts. I don't think that it's completely one or
No,
the
yeah.
other. And I really do think that it's a subject of, we're living in a patriarchal society,
Yes.
and life imitates art, or art imitates life, whatever the fucking saying is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that sometimes it's even hard. Like, I've seen someone be like, a lot of romantasy and fantasy, even sci-fi fantasy, tries to push the boundaries of patriarchal societies, and brings down the evil king, and brings up like more of an egalitarian system towards the end. He was like, but there's very few that really remake it, right? That the end of it, the woman still becomes a queen, which is a patriarchal system, right? Or like they become the rulers of the system that's in place, and they do better things, but there's no like fundamental overhaul, breakdown, shift towards a completely new world. And that's
Mhm.
fine too. But then I'm also like, okay, but what would that world look like? Because we've been living in a patriarchal society for 5,000 years.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I think it's even hard to imagine how to, even in a fantasy world, to do it in a way that doesn't come off as purely man hating, right? Because that'll be a whole different critique. Or like it's hard to imagine. How do you create a matriarchal society? You're like, because like the antithesis of patriarchy isn't to create a matriarchal society where men don't have options. It's to create an equitable society where everybody has opportunities. And so sometimes that still needs to live within the framework of monarchy and empire. But then that's also a problem, because monarchies and empires are mechanisms of patriarchy.
Yes. Yeah, and that's where it gets really tangled. But I do think like I think the best if you're like if this is a thing you're like what I want to do is um not have patriarchal values in my story. I think you gotta start from ground zero, shedding that instead of making the story about beating the patriarchy because that's a very easy way to just be overly didactic and
Mm-hmm.
like you don't want to moralize like a good story still must be honest and true and if you're just there to like preach no
Yeah.
one's gonna fucking care enough to read it and your message will never get out there anyway so I think everything this is like a big critique that in the poetry world as well like there's people love to publish like a political poem because it has one or two zingy lines but they kind of a lot of those poems sort of they get performative they get like we've heard this and you're just repeating rhetoric back to us which can but there's a place for that but it's also like good art is going to say something new every
Yeah.
time and is going to push boundaries and
Mm-hmm.
so I think a lot of things we could do is not have like the small moments that like I think a lot of the sexual certain like beauty standard things I think are
Mm-hmm.
part of what annoy me and like in
Yep.
terms of patriarchy but also like I think you got to build your society free of those things
Yeah.
and have problems that aren't that but I do think the best like if you want to like have a story free of that you have to like create like a different structure from almost from
Yeah.
the ground up and yeah not a matriarchy but
Yeah.
something that's like we're like actually yeah where characters don't think twice like I think people do this well with gay characters where like somebody is gay and it's never discussed
Yeah.
it's never like what
Yeah.
That I think is the best way.
It's just an aspect of who they are, the same way as they have
Yeah.
an order form, or they're a certain magical
Yeah.
level, or
Because
they're
that serves
born
the
into a
story
certain
better.
rung of life. Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone gets the commentary anyway because you never mention it.
Yeah.
But the more seamless you can make it, the more normalized and like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's much better.
Hmm.
Because yeah, the worst thing is the preachiness.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to be patriarchal, it's also not helpful to be preachy,
Yeah.
which I think is most people's problem.
I do think that there are places that we feel a little choke held into patriarchal values, and it's definitely in things like the 18-year-old 95-pound beauty, and you're like,
I don't get why people feel the need to make her age. I guess 'cause she doesn't have a career. She's a blank slate.
well,
Like,
I mean, maybe
why is
that.
that such a trope? I mean, maybe it's
Yeah,
just because she's hot. Because people think that's like, yeah,
that's, yeah, but I think part of it is the like
or Bill Dunn's Roman of it all.
that, or like a it's harder to maybe build out that, like, coming into your own is easier to do with a character in their 20s because you're already doing that in your 20s, as opposed to like teaching an old dog new tricks kind of a thing, where it's like this person
Yeah,
is so already solidified as who they are personality
that's true.
wise for them to be able to be malleable enough to change and bend. And a lot of these stories have aspects of like a coming to age narrative, even though they're not necessarily coming of age specifically.
Yeah,
But they
well, that's
have a
like a
lot
the
of that,
hero's
like,
quest is tied into a lot of
yeah, and they
stuff.
have a little bit of
Chosen
that, like,
one,
yeah, we're
mhm.
growing up, and or growing into, right? Maybe not growing up, but growing into.
Discovering your powers when you turn
Uh-huh, and I
18
think
type
that
beat.
that is easier to start out at a younger age, um,
Hmm.
but I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I'm writing a story about a woman who's 40.
Yeah, well, and I think that's just yeah. I think it maybe or we fantasize about youth and we like and so I don't know. It's probably a mix of those things. I think the age thing
Well, and,
is
like,
it is actually probably because people want to write YA, but then they want to have spicy scenes, so then they got to make them 18, 19.
I mean,
So
that,
they
or, like, really, or that
or they
or
don't
that
value middle aged characters.
yeah, or
And they
that
think yeah,
beauty standards, right? White, European, white supremacist, pedophilic beauty standards are so ingrained in us that
hmm
what even we would want from a character who we would wish to be would embody those things, right? Because there's
yeah.
some aspect of reading from a character point of view that you're kind of like living vicariously through them, and so you don't necessarily want to live vicariously through Alice, right? If you're trying to.
I want to get in that bitch's head.
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
no, I know
but,
what you
like,
mean.
if you're trying to feel like,
You don't want to be reminded of your disappointment with yourself.
yeah, right? You're like,
Yeah.
if this is a fantasy where I can be perfect, unfortunately, what we think perfection is light-skinned, young, skinny.
My curves. The dress fit
It
perfectly over my
drives
curves.
it drives
I
me nuts
fucking
when
hate that.
it drives me up the wall when they say things like sinful curves, and I know that you also have described her as like 100 pounds. There's no babe, that's not sinful curves, modest.
I got some sinful curves.
Yeah, supple, fine. No one
Yeah.
has a fat ass at 100, like,
Yeah.
no, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
And not to body shame in either side of it, but, like,
But
I think
it's
that that's
definitely
something
like
that,
I hate yeah.
but it does feel a little bit like we almost, like, reinforce some of those things within our writing, and which is really fun to read. I mean, we're only reading SJM, and right, there's lots of commentary on,
What do you mean
uh,
we're only reading SJM?
sorry, me and Topher are only reading
Oh,
SJM right
okay.
now. But he knows that this, like, the skinny young girl trope is a thing. But it's kind of nice reading these with someone who is a grown up man and
Hmm.
being like, I'm supposed to be attracted to this character. Like, she's not.
Yeah.
What? He's like,
Bill was the same way. He was like,
it's like, I'm
okay.
not gonna find a 19-year-old attractive. Like, I don't, like, it will probably work out for him better that there aren't very many sex scenes in Throne of Glass, because he's gonna be like, ew, no thank you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
gross. No thanks.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, um, Yeah, yeah, I will say.
Yeah, and the other one, and so this conversation tonight stemmed because I had a conversation with Topher. He really should just be on the pod sometimes.
Hmm?
We do need to have a boy night with the
Boy
pod.
night.
But it was the first sex scene between Bryce and Hunt in the second Crescent City
Oh
book.
yeah.
And so they are in Idra and they are meeting with Ophion, with the rebels, and shit goes sideways and they blow up all of the mech tech suit things and they're floating in the water and Lydia, right, the hind comes and they don't realize it, but she saves them. But Hunt goes into full on mate-tastrophe mindset, right? He's just like, my mate is endangered. This bond is fucking riding me hard, and I need to kill every single person in the realm, right? Because to save her. And so they end up on the depth charger, and he's all fucking sparkly with his lightning and is losing his shit and is all fucking PTSD'd. I'm gonna kill everybody. And they tell Bryce, get your man, go calm him down, which right, okay. And the way that she calms him down, which already is kind of ick, is to fuck him
For the first time.
for the first
Yeah,
time.
I did not like that at all. I'm pretty sure Carrie
And
did too. Yeah.
and I am I am healed from a lot of my daddy trauma, but apparently not all the way because it didn't kind of click for me that this was problematic until Topher was like, that's gross. And I was like, what's gross? Like, what did they do? What did I read? And he was like, he's having a freak out. He's in rage mode. And not only is it on her to manage his emotions, but the way to manage his emotions is through sexual gratification. And I was like, oh, well, when you put it like that, I seem really unhinged. But yeah, I mean,
No.
it
Yeah.
kind of felt like that's ill,
Yeah.
not great. And and Topher also has this whole commentary about romantasy men being little bitches. Where he's like, they see the girl they like and they're just like instantly hard, can't control their bodies, and like, and he was like, Cassie's a little bitch, comes in his pants because he can't control it. Everybody's walking around with like pubescent
I'm
boners.
mad.
Yeah, he's like, everyone's just getting hard and can't control themselves. Or like they smell her and they're just like, beep. He's like, what is that? He's like, and now when they're in rage mode, they can't even calm themselves down. He was like, you're a 300-year-old dude. Get it together, Hunt.
Yeah. Yes, actually.
And I think that that kind of speaks to some of that like patriarchal ick where it's like,
Because men aren't expected to control themselves or
and it
do.
kind of reinforces a little bit of like boys will be boys.
Yes.
Not
Absolutely.
great.
And I
Like,
think a part of that comes from like there's this probably also patriarchal, definitely also patriarchal desire to be so deeply wanted and desired by a
yeah.
man that he loses control of his sense of self and faculties.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's
that's
like a not a balanced relationship. That's like a fantasy of like, this
yeah.
obsessive love.
And it's crazy because there is a place where yes, you want someone to be obsessed with you, but also that leads to violence towards women.
Yes. Yeah, we think it's hot. Like this is why it's always giving me the ick when people say like I'll burn the world down for her because
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, and then are you gonna like kill her if she's gonna date someone else? Because
Yeah.
that's kind of like that. I feel like it's
Yeah.
you're gonna burn the world down. What's to stop you from killing her next
Mhm.
boyfriend when she dumps you?
It
Like that's
took
you just happen to be her happy ever after. But what if
mhm.
you weren't?
It
Um,
also took me a long time to get on board with the very typical mate trope of mine.
that's fine.
And here's the thing, as long as it's a reciprocal thing and they're both saying it to each
Yeah.
other, that's fine, but there's a couple of ones that I've read that, like, she doesn't say it back for a while, and I'm like, "Babe, you are not owned by anybody unless you decide to also own
Mhm.
that motherfucker." Like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
yeah, I haven't read that many. You've read much more romantasy
And
than
I
I
prefer
have, but they
them. I
haven't freaked me out
prefer
yet.
it when instead of them being all fucking viscerally, physiologically mine, that they're that way, but they say yours.
Yes, that is
Like
better.
that I prefer, where he's like I want you to make me yours, like claim me kind of a thing, as opposed to I'm gonna lay this claim to you and bind your soul to me. You're like, calm down, buddy.
Yeah. I will also say the other part of this that's always bothered me with Romantasy in particular is the predatory, like, thinking someone's hot because they're powerful.
Hmm.
Like, why? They're like, "Oh, he could rip me to shreds." I was like,
Yeah, I
"Okay.
don't want you to rip
Why do
me.
we
I
like
don't
that?"
want you to yeah, tear me to ribbons. No thanks.
I know, and I get it could be like, "Oh, there's kind of like a danger kink to that," but
I
I've
under
always thought that was weird as fuck.
like I understand like when Cassian and Azrael are sparring, being like, okay, like
That's
that's hot.
just yeah,
Yeah,
that's yeah.
that's dudes working out.
But,
Like
like, there are
okay.
times when, like, Feyre thinks, like, "Oh, he could kill me with a thought," and it's, like, turning her on. I'm like,
I'm such a fucking asshole. I could imagine if like Topher somehow came up with some like crazy world annihilating powers and did some like misted a fucking orange in front of me. I'd be like, you're gonna clean that up, right? Like
"Yes."
I would not be impressed. I'd be like, that was completely
Well,
unnecessary.
they have
Like,
a family.
yeah, or just like, cool story, bro. You're the
Yeah.
most powerful High Lord. That doesn't mean anything to me. I have no point
Yes.
of reference.
Even that is like, why do we care that, like,
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, well, actually, for Feyre, it kinda makes, like, if we're gonna go evil Feyre route, maybe she's always just been attracted to power. Um,
Yeah. But then that
but
becomes the
they
thing,
do
right?
it
Like
in
if
many books, and I
well,
don't
and
love
then
it.
that becomes that really tricky thing to do because if a majority of villains, right, their primary mode of like the motivation for them is power and greed.
Mhm.
So, and if you're going to villainize a character because of their quest for more power and greed, you can't also then think that power is sexy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
so then, like, so then what makes it different? And so what is sexy about Reese and unsexy about Highburn if both of them are motivated by power? Also, I also just imagine Highburn is like a 60-year-old dude. I can't
me
for the
too.
life of me can't think of him as a
I was
youthful
like
Fae.
900 years probably.
Yeah, I'm like yeah. Yes. But
Yeah. Yeah, I also think,
I think
like,
of Arabin as much older too. Like
he's
Arabin's
supposed
like
to be, like, 35.
yeah, no, he comes off like 40, 50 to me.
Yes, that's the vibe I got, but then I think we know that he's younger or something.
Still gross.
Yeah. No, it is, it's yuck, but,
Yeah, I mean, I think he finds her when he's like 20, 25, so he's only in 30,
yeah,
35, whatever, but
yeah,
he comes off much more icky dad vibes.
yeah,
It's also his
um,
role though, the role that he plays with her. But yeah, I
yes.
don't know, there's things that
There's
yeah,
so many, like,
questionable.
little things like that, like, even I think, like, always talking about how, like, they're only hot if they have, like, ripped abs, like, I think is, like, us just
Yeah.
reinforcing, like, not a toxic masculinity because it's not necessarily toxic to be in shape, but, like, and
Yeah.
I will say in fantasy, I think there's at least, like, "Oh, he's a warrior. If
Yeah.
he's not in shape, he dies," but I still think it's, like, this celebrate like, all the beauty standards, to me are also, like, all part of it, even the
Well,
male
yeah,
beauty
and
standards, and I just think it's,
yeah.
like, silly and,
And
like,
male beauty standards
unrealistic.
are detrimental to men in
Yes.
similar ways that female beauty standards are to
And also just
women.
kinda makes me roll my
I think
eyes,
it
like, I'm
makes
always just like,
I think it's
"Okay,
yeah.
he has abs, good for you." I don't
Yeah.
care, like,
Yeah.
to me, because I think I naturally, if I see a guy with, like, abs, I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna be, like, a rude customer." Like, I just, like, immediately, like, "Oh god." And
Yeah.
yeah, not to yeah, I do judge people like that. Like, if you look, like, stereotypically I
Mhm.
don't know, I just
Well,
don't know.
like, so the
That's maybe it's
chapter
just
that
me.
yeah, like the chapter I wrote, right? Corvin is muscular, but also
You did not write him as, like, weird you didn't do any of
yeah,
that.
but she's assessing it as a way to like, well, like it's a good thing that I know who might be walking through that door. Knowledge is power, but also I remember him being much bigger than me. I'm not going to be able to overpower him. And
Yeah,
so
but
like
I think a lot of women just think
assessing
that
it
in
as
general.
opposed to just being and like, I make a comment that like maybe if he didn't open his mouth and wasn't a weirdo, he could probably get any girl he wants. Like he's a good looking dude, but then he's fucking weird and thinks he lives in La La Land, like to where
Mhm.
she's like kind of dismissive. Where like already putting more pretense on personality is more important than physique.
Yeah. Because
That
it
she's like,
really is
yeah, if he
so
just
annoying.
didn't talk, I'm sure that he'd be able to get into people's pants, but then he opens his mouth and is weird.
Well, that's much more endearing. That's the thing is that like when we're just like like in Fourth Wing, like they're just like he's so hot, and I'm like,
He
okay,
killed your brother, but he's hot.
do you have a personality? Like, can you just like
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, I'm just like, why you just needed to make up some reason for them to get
That
mad. Like,
could
I
be,
hate
though,
it.
that could be why the characters are so young, because older women, from my
Aren't
experience,
charmed by some hot.
aren't
I don't
charmed
think
by
I think
that.
I'm a weirdo though.
No, I think that there's a plenty of older women who aren't charmed by that.
No, I think I never was.
Yeah, I was,
When we
'cause
were teenagers, like I was always like Johnny Depp over Orlando Bloom type
mm.
vibes, Aragorn over Legolas. Although I also loved Legolas, but I always just like
You also have
the
mentioned,
Hemsworth brothers. I was like, yuck.
yes, but you also just mentioned 3 very attractive men.
Yeah, but they're the scroungier ones.
Yeah, that's fair.
Legolas is the clean cut,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Aragorn was definitely is still like was like that, but like I don't know. But I
that's fair.
always yeah,
Yeah, I need to
the
if we
Hemsworth used to give me the ick. So maybe I'm a weirdo.
it's the blonde.
No, it's like he's too
Like,
like
to
muscular, like he
mhm.
just looks like a pound of meat, and you're like, yeah, you just look like a boulder. Congratulations, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, I was much more of like, the Chris Pratt one, where I'm like, get but like Parks and Rec Chris Pratt. I'm like,
Not like
give me
Republican.
no, no. I'm like, give me a little bit of the, like, dad bod fit.
Yeah, or just
Yeah.
someone who's like funny and interesting, and
Yeah, looks normal.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, or just I don't know. Yeah, like what my 14-year-old crush was. I just was obsessed. It was Adrian Brody in specifically King Kong.
Oh my god. I had a roommate who was obsessed with Adrian Brody because
It's so weird.
she was like, his nose is so sexy. Like, she loved a, like, larger nose. It was
No,
just her
he
thing.
played a writer, and I wanted to be a writer, and I thought that was hot. That's what I liked about him.
Topher the other day was out doing yard work, and he's wearing his, like, khaki shorts and like, black undershirt tank top, and he had a hat on backwards, and he's doing yard work, and I was like, babe, can you just put, like, a beer in your hand, because you just look so hot right now. And he was like, dude, you have such daddy issues. He was like, a guy who's doing yard work in a wife beater, a backwards hat, and a beer can. And I was like, dude, it's so rune coated. I was like, if
So
Rune got
funny.
up off that couch and did some dishes, oh, don't, yep.
Yes, chores will do it, but also okay. You know what kind of fucking black cat golden retriever energy we have. Sometimes, like the thing that does it is I'll like be like he'll be like sitting and doing something, and I'll be like look over at him and be like like staring at him, like, and then he won't look at me because he's just like involved, and I'm like, it's like you're not paying it, like you're not looking at me.
He's like, are you playing hard to get right now,
And he
husband of
just looks
mine?
so concentrated. He's like thinking, and I like that.
It's 100% the opposite for me and Topher, because he'll do the same shit. He'll just be like looking, 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 and I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, what? And he's like, I just think you're pretty. Dang, I want your attention. And I'm like, oh my god, so annoying.
No, yeah, I'm always
Mhm.
like that. But the fact that he doesn't look at me is always driven me a little crazy. Yeah, I feel like there's still so many like things we could
Yeah,
actually still talk about.
of course there are, because we're us.
No, about like specifically just with patriarchy too. But I
Yeah.
do think the male beauty standards, the power thing, those are my
Mhm.
things that I'm always like, can we stop with like,
Yeah.
you know,
And a little bit of the, I mean, not a little bit, there's a lot of this, but like the eggshell, her needing to kind of
yes.
appease his emotions, right? And
It
we're
being
not even,
hot that he's emotionally immature.
yeah, and
Like, it could
like,
be a plot point, but like, yeah.
and we're not even getting into the realms of dark romance, which
I
I
haven't
think,
read any of. Maybe I should do. I
I
should do that this summer.
There are certain things that I feel like are mislabeled dark romance, and it's just because like the system has more of like a dark magical system and things like that, or
Mhm.
there's like morally gray, right? But ones that are like truly what I would consider dark romance, where it like really lives in that like dub con or no
Does it have to be
con.
dubcon to be dark?
I mean,
I
Duke
did
is.
think it was more of like a gothic aesthetics that was really
Yeah,
driving
no,
it.
so that's the thing. It's either talking more about a gothic aesthetic, or it has things that are like trigger warning lists where it's like
Yeah,
that dark, where like, they like the one that I started reading and got to like chapter 5 and was like, cool, so everyone has been sexually assaulted
yeah,
and he's threatening to sexually assault her and she's turned on by this. I cannot.
yeah.
Like,
No, yeah.
no, like, no, that's not going to work for
I've
me.
actually been watching like a YouTuber lately who really likes dark romance, and yeah, she mostly says like kind of talks about it like people like it for like a processing vibe, but that is certainly not for
Well,
everybody.
and I
And there could
also
be a
think
role,
that
but
I think that there is a space where dominance play and like, the sort of dominant submissive aspects can exist, right? I don't think that it is a patriarchal value for a woman to want to be, I don't know, ravish, right, to some degree
mm,
in the bedroom.
there probably
But
are patriarchal roots, but yes, yeah, it doesn't have to
sure,
be
but
like. Mhm,
yeah, but I think that there's also, right, if there's consent involved, if there, and
yeah.
especially if that goes back and forth. It's one of the things that I like about Zodiac Academy, because it's not so much a gender thing, it becomes like an order thing of alphas, right? That the alpha nature in them is what wants to be this dominant aspect,
Mhm,
and then that gets played into back and forth, right? That like characters are like, I would never submit ever because it's not in my way to do that. And then yet they find areas that they find themselves submitting. And that works for the male and female characters in those
mhm.
books,
Yeah,
right? Like it's
they're
not
weirdly
just.
consistent with those kinds of things.
Yeah, and like even like the first time that Darius and Tori are together, right? It's all like they hate rage fucking each other or whatever because she just
Mhm.
blew up a fucking motorcycle and he's pissed. And like he tries to like turn her around and bend her over and she's like, "The fuck? I don't think so." Like,
Yeah, it often talks in like the seventh book about how they are always sort of vying for
yeah.
it's like a sex game,
Yeah.
and
But
that's
there
interesting as well.
Yeah, but it's both, right? Like they're
Yes,
both kind of vying for that. And it's because it's not tied to gender roles. It's tied to the magic, the lore, the system, and what their order form is.
and I think also you can have different things like when you can even the playing field, and it's not men are always more powerful than women because
Yeah.
there's magic involved. I think you can
Hmm.
also have do way more different things. Like you
Yeah.
can have, I think,
Well,
I
like
think that's why like
Darius takes her
Rowan can
last
punch
name.
Aelin, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's magic. Although that even that gave me like an ick. But like,
But they beat the shit out of each other, first off. So she's not pulling her punches with him either. And they're training. They're not that it's not a love scene, right? Like
yeah,
they're forced to train together. Like if you train as a boxer, you're going to get hit in the face. If you train for battle, you have to know how to get hit.
yeah. Well,
It
and yeah,
never it never bothered me because there's an even playing field between them.
yes. Well, and I
Because
think it's
she's in
more
it.
true in Zodiac, but it did give me a little ick in Throne of Glass, and I was just like, I think this is not meant to be taken this way, so I'm not going to take it that way.
Yeah.
But Zodiac
But she
feels much more even because
yeah.
it's like, oh no, you actually are out of your league. She's a way more
Yeah.
powerful, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, and even you see characters who are very much in the alpha position who end up being in the submissive and different space. I mean, look at Seth and Caleb, right? Like there's all sorts of back and forth between alpha and submissive with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a homosexual relationship, which is all the better that it's breaking all sorts of fucking
Mhm.
patriarchal values because you see a happily committed, very much in love with each other, male couple.
Mhm. Yeah.
Great. So
Oh,
till then, keep reading.
keep writing.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.